Hello, I'm Eric Snodgrass, and thank you for watching today's midday weather outlook for the southern region brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions. We begin first by taking a look here at infrared satellite temperatures from GOES 17. So that is the geostationary satellite that's focused here on the western half of the North America and getting out into the Pacific Ocean. And why I want to take you here first is I want you to be seeing a dominant feature that we've had throughout much of this winter and now early spring, and that is this thing right here. So what you're watching there is the branch of the subtropical jet stream. We're looking at it in infrared temperatures here, so all you're seeing is cloud top temperatures. But basically, the brighter they are, the deeper the moisture is in the atmosphere. And what we have noticed this year is that due to flow that is kind of splitting here in the Pacific a lot, that moisture has come through Mexico, joined up with Gulf of Mexico moisture here, and then raced into the central part of our southern region, pressing off to the south and east. Now, things have changed up temporarily, and we're going to watch what that change is going to be, and it's going to start here with the discussion about this cutoff low that is pushing into California. We will be watching this whole pattern adjust, but one thing that isn't adjusting is where that moisture is coming from. We will have a wide open Gulf of Mexico, and we'll still be getting moisture transport off of the Pacific, and as a result, we're going to be forecasting a very, very wet and active next 15 days for our southern region. And it just continues this longer term trend of things. So this is a map showing you compared to normal what basically from January 1st all the way to March 7th precipitable water in the atmosphere looks like compared to normal. So again, we're looking at this as the main moisture source, sending on the strong subtropical jet stream moisture into here, plus we're pulling it out of the Gulf of Mexico, and the two have come together to make the south extremely wet this winter and early spring. So I just want to show you kind of the bigger picture of the meteorology of this. We also can notice a couple other things, just to give you a quick global update of this. Notice how high precipitable water the amounts we've had here in Brazil's northern growing regions because of a tropical cyclone that's gone down the west coast of Australia. It's been wet there, and also we've pushed quite a bit of moisture down here after the drought ended here in southeastern Australia. So just keep a couple of these ideas in the back of your mind as we press forward with this forecast, because if I just fast forward to Friday, this is just a snapshot to show you what this is going to be doing. We're looking here at where the color coding is telling us Friday morning what the precipitable water looks like. Again, we just see that same pattern. See this? In comes the moisture here as the cutoff low comes into the, through California into the Four Corners states. We're still pulling moisture in out of the Gulf of Mexico, and you can see it getting wrapped up into a low that's going through Canada. But we just keep seeing these systems leave frontal boundaries just right in through this area on which that moisture just runs right over the top of it and just makes things so very, very wet. So as you just look out over the next 15 days, this is the European model, and I'll tell you, the GFS ensemble looks exactly the same. We see these effects playing out well. You can almost trace the axis of highest water content right in through there, and that is the name of the game. So this region, which has been absolutely hammered so far this year, is going to get more precipitation to the tune over the next 15 days of possibly an additional 2 to in some locations over 4 inches of, again, additional precipitation. So let's talk about this pattern and why it exists. Let me show you the opposite first. I went out and found the driest Marches on record for like the Ohio and Tennessee Valley, which is Ohio River Valley and Tennessee Valley, which is where a lot of this is, the excess precipitation is occurring. You can see the pattern that we typically get. There's a trough in the Gulf of Alaska, a ridge out west, and a broad trough that extends like this. Now, what ends up happening here is that when you go from a ridge, which I'll draw it with this kind of jagged line here, into a trough, as the airflow comes out of the northwest, it's convergent in the upper levels of the atmosphere, which suppresses precipitation. Let me show you what we've got happening. This is just an animation of the upper level winds looking at troughs and ridges here through the next 15 days from the European ensemble. And what you see here is in the near term, almost the exact opposite of what we've been discussing. I'll just give you a quick snapshot of it. Just pull it back here. I don't know. Let's just stop it right here because it really doesn't matter what day I stop it on. This is Wednesday, the 18th of March, midday. And instead of having that trough in the area here, look, we have what's called an omega pattern. So the jet stream goes south here toward Hawaii and then bulges back up into Alaska. It then dips south again into the west United States and rises on a ridge over the east. So remember, coming out of a trough, so our main trough is here, and into this ridge, which is centered in this area, we end up getting the most active weather patterns in through here. And so unfortunately, until this pattern breaks down, it's going to be stuck like this. Now, we are actually finally seeing a blocked pattern. And what I mean by that is this ridge here pushing into Alaska is truly blocking the flow, and it appears to be doing that for quite some time. So again, that omega pattern, which you see like that, is one of the main blocking features we need to keep a close eye on. So we need the ridge over Alaska to break down and move. Doesn't matter if it moves east or west, it's just got to move to change the temperature and precipitation patterns we're going to be experiencing. Now, as we discussed, this is also a pattern that has the potential for producing quite a bit of strong to severe thunderstorms across the whole of our southern region. So what we're looking at here is Tuesday. That's in the upper left-hand corner. This would be Wednesday, and over here we have Thursday. So as we take a look at these three maps, it's just identifying where the Storm Prediction Center is keeping the closest eye on where we could see thunderstorms. That's that general background shading there. But then in those regions labeled marginals, where we're watching out for the potential for strong to severe storms. So just keep an eye on these regions. That's what I want to tell you. Now, why I don't feel comfortable pinning down exactly when and where these stronger thunderstorms will exist is because the flow pattern's quite complicated at this point. As you saw in yesterday's video, on Monday we do have multiple branches of the jet stream, two pieces to our northern branch and a southern branch that make the flow quite complicated, which means we're going to have to now cast our way through a lot of these events. So let's just take a look here at some high resolution modeling. In the overnight hours, widespread showers moved through the Ohio Valley down to the Tennessee Valley and then here into parts of the southeast, such that this morning this is where we're dealing with most of our rainfall. Now, as that pulls through, this is 7 a.m. on Tuesday. Let's get through the mid-morning hours on Tuesday. Just widespread scattered showers in this area. Our main cutoff low is still sitting way back here over California. So if we just keep going, this is Tuesday afternoon, getting into Tuesday evening, and now into the overnight hours of Tuesday into early Wednesday. Now, the latest runs from some of our high-resolution modeling are breaking off a small shortwave that's coming through the flow right here into Kansas by early Wednesday morning. And what may potentially happen, and we got to keep an eye on this one's going to be tricky for us, is by Wednesday morning, we're going to watch this come through Missouri into Arkansas and Oklahoma. Now, the model's advertising this might look like a little, we call it MCS, mesoscale convective system. I'm not 100% sure exactly on the convective mode of this, but you notice we were watching this area in the previous map, go back to it here, for the potential on Tuesday into Wednesday, right in through here, to potentially having some, well, maybe some stronger thunderstorms. So again, it's this feature right there. See it coming through Kansas into Missouri, Arkansas. Now, whether or not this leaves a boundary on which later in the day down here on Wednesday we get more storms firing up is going to be tricky to forecast. You can almost see it down here. That typically happens whenever we have an outflow boundary from a set of storms coming through. So I want you to keep a very close eye down here on Wednesday evening for the potential for some stronger storms as well. But you just notice that no matter where I go in this forecast, we've got scattered showers and thunderstorms across this whole area in the near term. Going a little bit longer term, let's just switch over to the European model. We'll pause it right there. We see the European sees the same feature coming through Wednesday afternoon. See it there? And then by the time we get into the evening hours, just widely scattered storms. Let me step you back here, sorry. Wednesday evening, widely scattered storms all through this area. Now, as we press into Thursday morning, into Thursday afternoon and evening, we see our next big low pressure system taking shape here, right? And then as we get out to Friday morning, Friday midday, that's the system I talked to you about. Ready? So the low is here. It leaves a frontal boundary draped right across the southern region and matches up with the cutoff low that's now finally moved through California. And so the precipitation just continues through the weekend. This is Saturday midday, getting into Saturday evening, Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, evening. See that? Just all along this area, multiple chances over the next 7 days for heavy precipitation at times. Any break that you get in the rainfall will be relatively temporary. But given the widely scattered nature of this, that's why I can't just pin down exactly who's going to get what where. We're just going to have to use our kind of lower resolution modeling here just to pinpoint, not pinpoint, but to get the broad brush strokes of where everything is. And notice by the time I get you all the way out to next Tuesday, we have our next cutoff low moving through parts of California. And it's just going to do the same thing and set us up for, well, let me just show you week 2. This is only looking at week 2, getting out to the 24th of March. And we see a very similar pattern here, very wet in through this same area. So the jet stream is not getting a configuration we would want to change this up. If there's any benefit from this, it's that if we do get a shot of colder air, it's very temporary. I like to show you the departure from normal temperatures because it gives us a sense on what to expect in terms of our highs and lows compared to average. So Tuesday's departure from normal, we see across much of our southern region 3 to 10 degrees above average. As we play this out into Wednesday, this is ahead of the big cutoff low. So look at the warmth spreading in parts of the south central United States, generally all the way over to North Carolina, 6 to 10 degrees above average. As we move into Thursday, same thing. Friday, now this is where the big low is now sitting here. The boundary, you can actually see it in the temperatures, sits right in through there with the colder air on the backside, the warmer air on the south side. So there's the frontal boundary in which this rain's going to form. And we're going to drop temperatures off in parts of New Mexico and Texas 15 degrees below normal for this time of year by Friday. Getting into Saturday, you can see that's moving now through parts of the central United States, but still right along the Gulf Coast, maintaining near average to above average temperatures. And then on Sunday, we cool things off over here just temporarily in the Carolinas before things just rebound again to start the next week. Let me show what I mean. This is now days 5 through 10. We see that with the ridge pushing up into Alaska, the cooler air is displaced down the spine of the Rocky Mountains and occupies the western United States. Plus, with low pressure systems coming in like this, we cool things down here also just with cloud cover. But the jet stream is just running up over a ridge here, and as a result, we're staying with this warmer bias, not only days 5 through 10, but even out here days 10 through 15. So now we really see the ridge in its effect in Alaska. This is that fully blocked omega pattern I was telling you about. So very cool out west and Intermountain West, and this could at times hit the western part of our southern region. So I'm talking about Oklahoma and Texas, but still, I think if you're in this area, the chances of you seeing below average temperatures as we move through the middle and end of March is relatively limited. One last thing I want to show you. Brand new updates. They always come out early Tuesday morning, so here it is. I'm showing you 30 days. This is now going from the 24th of March to the 24th of April. Now, you know me, and I say this all the time. These models favor persistence. You can continue to see that they're keeping this area wetter than average through the month of April. And they're also keeping that flow pattern doing something like this, which means warmer than average as well. Now, we always have to take these long-range forecasts with a bit of a grain of salt. And that's why I have a long-range technical analysis that I release on Wednesday so that we can see why the models are saying they're going to do what they're going to do. So I encourage you to tune back in tomorrow. I'll explain to you what I see here in these long-range forecasts from the European weeklies, and we'll put it into context, all right? Hope you all have a great week. We'll talk to you again very soon. Thank you so much for your attention this morning.